Hi, Jeff Munn, Creating Extraordinary Futures, and this week you may have noticed I'm at a different place. I'm in Boulder, Colorado. I'm about to sit down for 2 days with a client of mine to do a retreat. So I've talked to a lot of people lately who feel like they've been on the verge of making a change for a long time. Their job's going okay. It's not quite as soul-fulfilling as they hoped it would be. But it's not bad. They're making a good living. They generally enjoy the people that they work with, but it's not quite that. In fact, I had one person tell me it just doesn't suck badly enough to leave. And not that that's a bad thing. The only reason that it becomes a bad thing is that people linger there. They will linger there for years. I was writing about this recently. I compared it to, deciding you want to go skydiving, and the plane gets up to the right altitude, and the doors open, and you're standing there, and you've got your parachute on, and everyone's saying, "Go, go, 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 go," and you just can't do it, and you turn around and you walk back and you sit down. And you do that over and over and over again. And the other cost of that, and it doesn't happen right away, but it's more the possibility that it's going to happen later, is regret. The sense that when you look back over your working years, whatever age you decide to leave that, whatever age you decide you're able to leave that, you think, gosh, there was always that one thing I wanted to try, and I never did it, and I kind of wish I had. People talk about, you never regret not working enough. Well, that may be true in terms of volume of work, the grind at the office, the working the 80-hour weeks. There's a balance to be had there. There's family, there's relationships, there's all those things. And there's this sense of, what am I here to do? What's my purpose? What do I really want? What do I want to create? And that sense of waiting while years pass, that sense of regret at the end of it, those are real things. So if you feel like you're at risk for that, then you might want to listen to this next part. What I have found to be this almost magical sense of self-creation that is possible when you begin to look at what our experience of life actually is and how we create our experience of life moment by moment. And the first thing that I always focus on with a client, the first thing that I will focus on with you if we have a conversation, is to point out, to see that for everyone, our experience of the world is 100% internal, 100% being created moment by moment, 100% variable with our thinking. So in other words, you can treat something as solid or real or whole, and 5 minutes later it'll be gone. You can be having an argument with your boss. You could be having a disagreement with your partner. You can be really mad, and 5 minutes later you'll forget what you're mad about. And I encourage you to try this for yourself. See this. The opposite is true too. You can think that when you get that promotion, or when you get that new car, that you're going to be happy. And how many of you have had the experience of how fleeting that is? So that's number one, is seeing this ephemeral nature of your experience. And the second thing is to see that when you notice that, when you begin to get that, all of that thinking that you are trying to manipulate and fix because you didn't want to be thinking it, because you thought it meant something about you instead of just being, like weather going through your brain. As all that thinking stuff fades away, there is this quiet, there is this calm that begins to show up. And underneath the calm, behind the calm, there can be these ideas of what you really want, what you desire, just because you want it. I spent a lot of my adult life thinking that if I did things or got things, they would somehow make my life better, they would somehow fix me, they would somehow impress other people, and that would mean I had proven myself. And when I saw that none of that was actually true, when I got that, when I got that all that was really happening is that new thought was arising in the moment, and often it had no relation to reality, however you want to define reality. It would just come and go, 5 minutes later it'd be different. That thinking lessened, and then something would come up, like, for me it was, I gotta let other people know about this. This feels important, and my experience feels important to share because I've seen how much it has lessened my suffering, and I know it can lessen others' suffering too. What you want may be completely different. You may want to open a coffee shop. You may want to record an album on iTunes. I don't know. We're all here to do different things. It shows up differently for all of us, and that's the really cool thing, to be able to look into the eyes of someone else and see that whatever it is bringing them alive. It's an amazing feeling for me. I'd love to share that with as many people as I possibly can. So there is that wanting, that desire, that whatever is going to show up just because it would be cool, just because it would be fun, just because you've always wanted to do it, just because you want the experience of having done it. And you may have resistance. So, it can be one thing to say, yeah, I understand my experience is made of thought, it's 100% internal, it's not real, it's not solid. And yet there are times when it feels real and it feels solid. And that can show up as like a bodily sensation, what we would call a trigger, where we kind of go down a dark path really quickly, we get angry, we get emotional really fast. Or it can just be the metaphors that we use to describe our lives. This is easy, this is hard, this is, there's a reason they call it work. That's what my dad always used to say. The language it can be invisible, and it is also incredibly generative. So the language that we use is literally generative of the way that we see our life. And noticing that and having someone notice that can also be really powerful in beginning to dismantle this stuff that feels particularly sticky. And so what we have then after that phase, if you will, is that we've got a really clean blank sheet of canvas to work with. You may want to be an artist, you may want to be an entrepreneur, and you may have this stickiness that says you can't do it, this stickiness that says, well, I could never do that, or people would never believe me, or I'm not credible, I'm not an expert, blah, 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 blah. And when you begin to see those things are just thought, And sometimes they have some evidence, a lot of times they don't. A lot of times the evidence is like one thing that happened a long time ago, you drew something that didn't look like the flower you were drawing, and the kids laughed at you in art class in 3rd grade. Who knows? But when you begin to let that go, then you recognize that what you've been calling your identity, what you've been calling your personality is it's 100% made up. Innocently, a lot of times you just believed what the other people told you about you. But you have the chance to create who you want to be so you can do what you want to do. And that's where the bulk of our time together is going to be spent. That's really what we're going to be looking at, working on together over and over and over again, seeing this possibility of creating something new in the world, something amazing, something that is made from the love that you are made of. Much like my message is made out of the love that I am made of. What's been calling you, and what have you, what's that quiet voice that you haven't been hearing or you haven't been willing to listen to? And begin to notice what it's saying, and begin to notice if this very video might be the sign that, it's time to do this thing. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Thanks.